Hi, Ray here. In this video, I'm going to try to answer the question, does using protective filters on your camera lenses degrade image quality or in any way affect the photographic process? In a recent debate on social media, one critic of using filters on your lenses described them as relics from the film age. Well, here I am, a relic from the film age, ready to take on this controversy. Every time this subject comes up, you get two sides of the argument. On one side, there's people like me say, yes, I always put protective filters on my lenses. And in fact, recently I bought a beautiful vintage 1980s camera that came with a stock 50mm 1.8 pristine lens. And as I said, I will put a protective filter on there. And then there's the naysayers who advance various arguments against using filters. By far the most common argument against using protective filters on lenses is, why would you put a cheap piece of glass in front of your expensive lens? Worse yet, a cheap piece of Chinese glass. Perhaps like those from Nisi, which are made in China. Guess I wasted about $2,000 there. And then come claims like, actually, if your camera was to be, I don't know, impaled by an arrow or whatever, that the filter could actually do more damage to the lens than if there was no filter there at all. I'm not quite sure how that one works. And finally, perhaps more credibly, that putting another piece of glass in front of modern lenses, because after all, modern lenses come with the most advanced coatings known to lens science, such as nanocrystal coating, eliminating incidental light from a diagonal direction, or fluorine that repels dust and grease. And new lenses from Nikkor feature something called arneo coating, which eliminate incidental light from a vertical direction. So it seems like a logical argument that you wouldn't need to put any other kind of filters in front of these advanced lenses with their advanced coatings. And yeah, no, that is not the point that I would argue. My point is strictly from a protective viewpoint. Back in my mountaineering days, and yes, that was also my film days, I went through protective filters on my lenses like Kleenex. And the reason being, not so much from things like rockfall or direct impact, but because a constant rain, literally rain or snow, and a mixture of grit, of course the lenses would also become steamed up in inclement conditions. So I was constantly having to wipe the lens with the nearest thing, which was usually my anorak. And those filters became abraded. Like even on one expedition, I could completely destroy a filter, so that at the end of the trip, I could have used it for, say, glamour photography, no need for Vaseline. So like so many opinions advanced on social media, I wonder how many people who knee-jerk reject the idea of using protective filters have actually done any personal testing. And so I waded in here and I did a few little non-scientific tests of my own to see if I could answer this question. First, I made some photos using a test target with two modern lenses from Nikkor, the new Z mount S-series lenses, 50mm 1.8 and 85mm 1.8. The filters that I used were the B+W neutral filter and the Hoya protector filter. So let's take a look at my little non-scientific tests using a 4x6 inch test target mounted on a white plasticor board. And though imperfect, I think we can still take something from the test, since any misalignment should be consistent across the images, with and without the filters. So the target on the left was shot with the Nikkor 50mm 1.8 S Z-mount lens with a filter, while on the right here we have the same lens without a filter. And so let's zoom in a little bit, say to 100%, around about 100%. There we go. There's 100%, 99.7%. So let's, and I should add that this was mounted right in the middle of that board. So we're shooting this through the middle of the lens, the middle circle of the lens. And here we are in the top left of that, and I really can't see any difference there. I really can't see any difference at all. Let's go over to the middle top right, and again I can't really see any difference there. Let's go down to the bottom right, and I think what we see there is, I don't know, is there a little bit more contrast here? Yeah, no, I can't really see any difference there either. In fact, yeah, no, I can't see any difference. Let's go over to the bottom left, and again I really can't see any difference there. These other parts of the target here, nope, I can't see any difference. Let's go to the center here, and let's go into, say, 200% here. There we go, 203%. So over on the left here with the filter, over on the right with the filter, no, I'm not seeing any difference there personally. Go back out again. Okay, let's move on to the next. So now we have the same 50mm 1.8 Z mount S lens, and this time we're shooting in the top right hand corner and looking at the same. And let's zoom up again to around about 100%. Yeah, 105, that'll do it. And let's again, well, let's start off from the top left hand corner of the right hand side of the lens, and we're comparing between with a filter and without a filter. So do we see any difference here? I'm not really sure that I can tell any difference. Let's look. This is this writing here, this very complex center test. I might perceive just a tiny bit more contrast, acutance here, but I'm not really, yeah, I'm straining my eyes, and maybe I'm just trying to see a difference. Okay, let's go down to the bottom right hand side of this. Again, I can't really see any difference. Can you see the difference? And now over to the left hand side here, and nope, I really can't see any difference. Is there a slight bit more contrast in here? Not sure. I think that's it for that. Let's do that again. Let's go into the middle here, and let's zoom up to 397%. Let's keep it at about 200%. And again, very hard for me to see any difference at all there. Now the same routine with the Nikkor Z mount 85mm lens, 1.8 lens, and here in the bottom left hand corner we're looking at those. Let's zoom into, let's say, 102, 103%, and let's start comparing there between this left hand side one with a filter and the right hand side without a filter. So it looks to me that here we can see a difference between the two. We seem to have more contrast here in the without the filter. My eyes detect a difference here along this side here, and here, yes, there's definitely more sharpness here. And going over to the right hand side, I don't see as much difference. And sliding down to the bottom right, let's look at these here. Yep, I see a slightly more contrast here to my eye. Let's go over to the left hand side. Not so much difference there. Let's look into the middle of this here, and let's zoom things up to about 200%, 400%. Well, let's look at that. Not so much difference there. Let's go back. We're starting to fall apart there though. Let's just go up to about 200, 205, 214%. There, I can't see any difference there. So here we are back with the 85mm 1.8 Z mount S lens, and we're in the middle of the board now, as you can probably see. So let's zoom up to about 100%, and we'll start perusing this from the center top left. I can't see much worth talking about here in terms of difference. I'm trying to look, well, there might be a slight bit of higher contrast here, tiny bit to my eye. Nothing much to go on there. I don't think there's much we can say about that there. Over here, no, again, I don't see any difference there to speak of. In these areas here, you know, if we look at these, yeah, it's so, I really can't say that there's anything different. And again, if we look at this complex area here and we zoom up to about, well, there's 300%, there's 300%, 250%, around about 200%, and I can't see any difference there. Then, to test color and resolution, I made some video clips, again with filter, without filter. And finally, I just shot a couple of backlit clips to see what things look like with harsh backlighting. Here they are. First, without a filter, and then with a filter. So what can we draw from my tests? I think, again, from an unscientific point of view, it looks like maybe in some circumstances with some lenses that you might lose maybe a little bit of resolution in some areas of the lenses. In practical use, is this enough to make you either use filters or not use filters? Let me know in the comments below. Again, the idea to me is, no, you don't put cheap glass in front of an expensive lens. No, you're going to use filters with equal quality to the lenses that you've paid a lot of money for.